Because the enemy can't create anything, all he can do is try to distort the things that God has already made. And there's a couple of points in my journey where I distinctly remember the Holy Spirit dropping in my spirit to hold on to something that was being said. Things that I didn't understand in the moment, but was something that I would have to live into for understanding. And one of those things was one time when I was sitting on my lanai with my husband, and I was still involved in all sorts of stuff, not really knowing that any of what I was participating in was wrong or distortions of God. And we had this strawberry guava tree in our front yard that had never given any fruit. It would always drip with all these baby fruit, but not one of them ever came to maturity. All the babies would just fall to the ground before they could ever mature. And I didn't realize at the time how much that God was using this tree as a parable, a living parable in my life for what was happening. And as we looked over the yard, I remember my husband said, "I wonder if this tree is ever going to give us any fruit." And I just remember the Holy Spirit coming upon me in that moment. And I was like, "What did you say?" And he repeated it. And I just remember in that moment the Holy Spirit just dropping the wisdom in my spirit to hold on to this moment, and that my understanding of it would deepen over time. The second time this happened was the very last day that I saw the kahu. I had went to his house right before I left to go on a very long trip that I was taking back to the East Coast to visit family in New York, and then off to visit my grandmother in Puerto Rico. And I'll never forget this. I felt the Holy Spirit come upon us once again, just like the same thing that happened when I was sitting there with my husband on the lanai. And just as I'm about to leave, the kahu says, "Be very careful when you go on your trip, because plants that are medicinal here could be poisonous somewhere else." And again, I felt the Holy Spirit telling me to hold on to this, that I didn't understand it in the moment, but that it was going to make sense as time went on. And